It's 2 in the morning. Use sh into a server, run git pull, restart the app, and pray. Then you do it again on the second server, and the third, and one of them ends up half updated and broken. That is how software used to ship, and it's slow, stressful, and error-prone. There's a far better way, a conveyor belt that builds, tests, and ships your code for you, automatically, every single time you push. That's CI/CD, and the whole thing is just a factory assembly line for your code. Let's build the mental model, then the real pipeline. First, let's settle 3 terms people smash into one word. Continuous integration means every push automatically merges, builds, and runs your tests. It answers, is the code still good? Continuous delivery goes further. Your code is always ready to ship, but a human presses one button to release to production. Continuous deployment removes even that button. Every passing change goes straight to live, untouched by human hands. A bank wants that approval button, so it does delivery. A simple blog might skip it and do full deployment, so it does delivery. Same letters, 3 very different levels of automation. Here's the assembly line, and who does what. The source stage is where raw materials arrive, your code from GitHub. The build stage assembles and quality checks it. That's CodeBuild, following a recipe card called buildspec.yml. The deploy stage ships the finished product to your servers. That's CodeDeploy with its recipe card appspec.yml. And tying it all together is CodePipeline, but here's the key. CodePipeline is just the belt and the foreman. It orchestrates and moves work from station to station. It never builds or ships anything itself. The IAM roles are the key cards, and S3 holds the crates that travel between stations. Let's build it for real. This is the add source stage screen, where you pick where your code lives. And here's a trap almost every older tutorial falls into. They use CodeCommit, Amazon's own Git service. But as of recently, AWS has stopped onboarding new customers to CodeCommit, so if you're starting today, it's a dead end. The modern, correct answer is to connect to GitHub, where your team already works. The pipeline simply watches your main branch, and every push drops fresh raw materials onto the belt. You connect GitHub through this CodeConnections, which you may have seen called CodeConnections. This is the connections page. You create a connection once, authorize AWS to read your GitHub repository through a secure app, and from then on, any pipeline can use it as a source. The big idea, you are not copying your code into AWS or handing over a password. You're granting a scoped, revocable connection. Set it up once, reuse it across every pipeline you ever build. Now the pipeline shell itself. On the pipeline settings screen, you give it a name, choose an execution mode, and, critically, a service role. This is where the foreman gets his keycard. CodePipeline needs an IAM role, so it's allowed to invoke the other stages and use the S3 artifact store. Let AWS create a new service role here for you, and notice advanced settings where the artifact store and encryption live. Remember this service role, it's the first of 3 roles, and roles are the #1 reason pipelines fail later. Before all that, AWS actually offers you a head start. On the Create screen, you saw categories, deployment, continuous integration, automation, and ready-made templates like push to ECR, deploy to ECS Fargate, or deploy with CloudFormation. These wire up common pipelines for you. But to truly understand the moving parts, we chose Build Custom Pipeline and assembled the stages ourselves, because once you've built one by hand, every template suddenly makes sense. The build stage runs on CodeBuild, and this is its Create project screen. Here's the beautiful part, CodeBuild is serverless. When a build starts, it runs a fresh Docker container, runs the phases in your buildspec.yml, install, pre-build, build, post-build, produces an artifact, and then vanishes. You only pay for the minutes it ran. You pick a source, an environment image, and a compute size. Think of it as the build station's machinery that follows a recipe card. Install the dependencies, run the tests, and solve the dependencies, run the tests, and zip up the app. So, how does the build station hand its work to shipping? Through artifacts. The output of each stage is zipped into an artifact and stored in an S3 bucket that CodePipeline creates automatically, usually named CodePipeline, something. The next stage reads that exact artifact as its input. This is the whole secret behind those confusing input artifact and output artifact settings in the console. The build station puts the finished crate on the belt, and the shipping department grabs that exact crate. Nothing gets lost between stations. Now deployment, and the part that separates juniors from seniors. This is the CodeDeploy deployment configuration screen, and look at the strategies. In place, all at once updates every server live, simple, but there's downtime and risk. 1 at a time and half at a time, roll the update out gradually. And the famous one, blue-green, you stand up a complete parallel fleet running the new version, health check it, then flip traffic over instantly, 0 downtime, and instant rollback if something's wrong. Canary sends a small slice of traffic, say 10% first. CodeDeploy follows your appspec.yml, which says exactly what to copy where and which health hooks to run. Blue-green is like opening the new restaurant next door, fully staffed, then just moving the sign. Now the single biggest reason real pipelines fail, IAM roles. There are 3 distinct ones, and mixing them up causes endless access denied errors. The CodePipeline role lets the foreman invoke each stage and use the S3 artifacts. The CodeBuild role lets the build station read your source, write artifacts, and pull secrets. The CodeDeploy role lets the shipping department actually touch your EC2 instances. When a pipeline breaks in real life, it's almost never your code. It's one of these roles missing a permission. Each worker needs their own keycard. The foreman's keycard won't open the build station's door. Remember continuous delivery, the version with the human button? This is that button, a manual approval action. You add it to the pipeline right before the production deploy. When the pipeline reaches it, it pauses and sends an SNS email. A human, QA, or a team lead reviews and clicks approve, and only then does the belt move to production. That single action is the entire difference between delivery and deployment. It's the checkpoint where a person says, yes, ship it. A word on secrets, because this is done wrong constantly. Do not paste your API keys or database passwords into the build's environment variables as plain text. Anyone with console access can read them. Instead, store them in Secrets Manager or SSM parameter store, and pull them in at build time inside your buildspec.yml. You also give the build role permission to read that one secret. The recipe card should say, get the password from the safe, never the password is Hunter, 2 written in the open. Let's talk cost so you're never surprised. CodePipeline has 2 types. Version 1 gives you 1 free pipeline a month, then about $1 each. Version 2 bills per action minute, so an idle version 2 pipeline can quietly add up. CodeBuild charges by build minutes times the compute size you pick, and here's the counterintuitive part. A 2-minute build on a giant instance can cost more than a 4-minute build on a small one. Watch oversized build compute, idle pipelines, and data transfer during builds. Right size and CI/CD stays cheap. Finally, how does CodePipeline compare to the alternatives? CodePipeline is fully managed, with deep AWS and IAM integration and no servers to run, but it's AWS-centric. GitHub Actions is fantastic if your code already lives on GitHub, with a huge marketplace of ready actions and the easiest start. Jenkins gives you maximum control and endless plugins, but you run and patch the server yourself, forever. The honest role, pick the conveyor belt that's already bolted to your factory floor. Deep in AWS, CodePipeline. Living in GitHub, Actions. Let's lock in the whole mental model. Sources raw materials arriving from GitHub. Build assembles and tests them with buildspec on CodeBuild. Deploy ships them with appspec and a blue-green strategy on CodeDeploy. CodePipeline is the belt and foreman running the whole line. The 3 IAM roles are the keycards and the number one thing to check when it breaks. S3 holds the crates moving between stations, and a manual approval is your human checkpoint before production. One push, fully automated, all the way to live, that's CI/CD done right. Each service gets its own deep dive, so subscribe to VionCloud and we'll keep making AWS simple, with real examples.